Joining us right now is our film guru. It's our friend from JetX, Joe Blewett, who was supposed to join me today for a detailed D'Angelo Pons review. But we're putting that on hold because, Joe, let's talk Breece Hall, baby. I put up some film here of Breece's 2025 season. Let's go, man. You excited that Breece is back?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely excited. I was really excited to do the Pons review too, by the way. That one's going to be a fun one. He's going to impress a lot of people here. But yeah, I'm excited about Breece. 24 years old, top 5 player on the Jets roster. You can argue like 3, 4, 5 in my opinion. Really going to help out whoever the rookie quarterback is going to be next year. Team control that third year. Seems like a team option that third year. It's 3 years, 45, 29 guaranteed, right? So if he's not performing up to the contract, then you get rid of him after 2 years. And beginning the contract talks, early on into the season and the offseason, we were talking about like $12, $13 million for Breece, right? That's probably where we expected him. But Jeremy Ruckert just got 2 years, $10 million. Like, I'm not losing Breece Hall for half of tight end 3 money, it's worth it to me. He's really good. He's a really good player. I think he's more in like that 7 to 12 range of running backs. But like you were saying, with all these contracts coming up with, I believe it's Bijan and Gibbs, that contract is going to be or look like a bargain in a year or two. When Bijan and Gibbs get signed, and then in a year, 3 other guys get signed. Typically, when you're in the top 10 of your position, whether it be a guard, receiver, running back, whatever it is, you're going to get like a top 3 contract. That's just how the NFL works nowadays. And it's how it's been working for a few years now. So it's a completely justifiable contract. They have a ton of cap space. Make it as easy as possible for Reich. Make it as easy as possible for Geno Smith. And then obviously, again, for the rookie upcoming, most likely in 27, unless Geno Smith has some type of Fitzpatrick resurgence type of year or whatever it may be. I still think they draft a quarterback in that instance. But nonetheless, yeah, it's a good move. These are the 2025 highlights I cut up. I'll have a review up of him relatively shortly. I already recorded it, so should be out in a few days. But as you can see, he had a bounce back year this year after being a little bit disappointing in 2024.
And to your point, Joe, you just look at the Jets' lack of playmakers the last couple of years. The idea that we're going to nickel and dime one of our own who has proven at the bare minimum to be a good player, it just never made sense. It's not like the Jets are short on money. They're not paying anyone on their roster right now. Garrett's extension hasn't even kicked in yet, and that looks like a bargain, not even 2 years into that contract. You signed it not even a year into the contract. You signed it last summer at the start of training camp. So I just think, given where the Jets are as a franchise, they could afford to slightly overpay, if you want to call it that, to keep one of their own and send the right message to the rest of the team. And Breece turns 25 at the end of this month. He's young, and his best football is ahead of him. And you and I know that if he was on the Chiefs, if he was on the Ravens or the Rams, he'd be way better statistically than what we've seen with him as a Jet. And I think that needs to be part of the conversation as well, because other teams valued Breece. That's why they used the full franchise tag and not the transition tag. They knew Denver or another team was about to offer Breece a big contract, and that's why the Jets used the full franchise tag as a placeholder in the first place.
Yeah, I made the argument recently with Will McDonald. Like, if he was on a better team, I think he's looking at 12 sacks last year. And you can kind of look at it with Breece Hall. Like, if he was on a normal team last year who had an actual quarterback, he's maybe up towards 1,200 rushing yards or something like that. So in 3 years, like, if he is, again, 24, so next, I don't know when his birthday is. I don't know if it already happened or whatever, but let's say he's 26, 27. By that third year, $14.5 million by that third year is going to be a really, really good price for Breece Hall. And hopefully this changes his mindset a little bit. I got a little bit concerned that he wasn't going to sign the contract. I don't know if you talked about it on your show recently or in the last few days, but he retweeted that Antonio Brown tweet about, like, sometimes you have to change scenery, whatever, to get inspired or something. And I'm like, okay, like a little bit more of like Breece retweeting some sketchy tweets or whatever it is. And, he's signed now, so hopefully he's happy. He's a leader on the team because he's one of the vets now, which is crazy. The Jets have a really young roster. He's a top 5 guy, so keep him happy. And it affects the locker room. Obviously Garrett has seen Jermaine Johnson leave, has seen Sauce leave, so I'm sure Garrett's happy. We need to keep him happy. He's the number 1 player on the Jets roster right now. By the way, I think Membu is too, and may fight for 1 this year. He's an absolute stud. But yeah, I'm happy. Hopefully it changes the mindset. Hopefully he dominates. Hopefully we have a coordinator in Frank Reich who actually uses him in the receiving game and in the screen game. a little bit more. And then again, that rookie quarterback comes in, whoever you prefer next year, and having a guy like Breece is great. You know, they don't really have a great running back two right now. I do have an issue with that graphic you put up before of Braylon Allen being the number 2 running back, because it is Isaiah Davis, because he is the second best running back on the Jets roster.
He very well might be. Look, Braylon Allen I like, but he's coming off injury as well.
It's not even that. And for, you know, people might think that's crazy, but for people who've been following me for a few years, I think that Isaiah Davis was better in college. I think he's better in his rookie year. I think he's better in his second year. It's just factual, like, to me at least. But nonetheless, obviously I'm just joking a little bit there. But yeah, no, Breece Hall is a great player. Again, I'm not gonna have issue over $2-3 million, maybe even overpay. And I really don't even think it is that much of an overpay, just based on, like you're saying, with Bijan and Gibbs coming to the market. And that might have been part of the negotiation, right? Like, hey, give me that 14 million, 15 million now, because Gibbs is going to sign for more than that in a couple of days, and the price is just going to go up. So you cannot, excuse my French here, I know we curse in the show, but like, we can't bitch about $2-3 million.
100%. And to your point, like, I don't even think it is an overpay, because the franchise tag for Breece Hall this year, he would have played at 14.3 million. It's going to go up a year from now as the NFL keeps just making money hand over fist. So the salary cap's increased, the tag numbers are increased. It's probably going to be closer to the full 15, maybe even 16 year from now.
Next year it would be 120%, right? If they did it back to back, it's 120% the next year, I believe.
Correct. So yeah, and you look at how much is guaranteed. It's basically 2 years of the franchise tag, 29 million. So the headlines, 3 years, 45 million, third highest paid running back in the league. It's 29 million over 2 years, and this is before Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan Robinson get their deals, and next guy up pushes everything down. So I just think Darren Mougey is a very impressive general manager so far. Like, he gets things done, man. He operates quick. Like, he's a man of his word. He says he's going to do something, and they do. Like, we're so used to these things just taking forever and dragging out. Like, I was not expecting a Breece contract done today. I was out and about, and I checked my phone. I was like, oh my God, really? Like, I thought this was going to be one of those, the deadline's July 15th, and, they get it done July 13th or July 14th, like right before. Like, I did not think this was going to get done, 2 weeks after the draft, like, as quickly and efficiently as this seemingly went down.
Yeah, wild day. I think all the draft picks are signed right now, but Omar Cooper Jr. as well. Like, there's no camp holdouts. Breece Hall is signed. UFOs on Twitter. It's just crazy day. So yeah, no, I like the way that Mougey operates. Obviously we have some issues with what he's done in the mid and late rounds at times, but realistically, I think people are a little bit too harsh about even like the draft class last year with him. It's like, oh, Maui Noah is not a great player already. It's like, he's a 5th round pick. If he develops into a good special teamer his 3rd or 4th year, then that's a hit for a GM. In the later rounds, and I actually think he had some flashes, but nonetheless, we're not here to talk about Maui Noah. It's about Breece, and I think he's about worth that price. And again, whether it be $2-3 million of an overpay, if you really want to argue that, and you don't think it's an overpay, and I think it might be a slight, but like, again, $1 million, $2, like, who cares about that? You're talking like vet minimum type money. I really couldn't care less. They are saving a ton of money, obviously, with Geno Smith's contract as well, because of the money he's getting paid from the Raiders. So it makes a ton of sense to extend Breece. And really, the only thing they're missing on offense, well, obviously it's the biggest piece, right? It's quarterback. What will Geno Smith do this year? And then really past that, like past the quarterback position. And the only thing I'm a little bit disappointed about this offseason is not addressing the interior offensive line a little bit more with at least competition for Myers, or a starter for to supplant or take over for Josh Myers. So they can address that next offseason as well, obviously, as too. Now, next up, let's get Tippmann done.
I agree. Tippmann should be up next in terms of some of the extensions the Jets could potentially give out. Another thing with Breece and just Mougey and the way they handled this, when they didn't trade him at the trade deadline, I was big on this. I think many with a brain were, well, that means you got a player that Breece Hall actually is. So the fact that they were able to not only just be smart and keep him and use the tag as a placeholder, but then actually get a deal done. Again, that's just smart team building. Like, Darren Mougey knew what he was doing. They had their price. Price wasn't met. Okay, we're moving forward. Breece, we want him part of our future. We're going to make sure he's either on the tag or we're going to eventually get a deal done. And they did that. So again, like, we've seen Jets GMs just botch this exact type of situation. They got it done. They chose to not trade him. So then you got to keep them. And they did. And they got this done on May 8th, which is like a record for like Jet drama being resolved this quickly.
Yeah, we said that, right? Immediately after the trade deadline, we heard the rumors for the 4th round pick. And it's like, you better sign him now, because if you didn't, now you're not getting that 3rd or 4th round pick for Breece. And, if you was to play on the franchise tag, at $15 million this year, week 7, 8, 9, like what are you getting at that point? A 5th, a 6th round pick. And, obviously those are dart throws at that point. So is it even really worth it at that point to get rid of Breece? So you kind of needed to sign him after that. And again, I think it's a very fair price for Breece Hall. Again, near a top 10 running back. And I think, next year with hopefully an offense that can actually pass the ball, and there's a lot of diversity on the Jets passing attack in terms of obviously like Sadiq and Cooper and all the things they can do. Hopefully he continues to show out, and he has more room to run. And again, hopefully Reich actually knows how to use him better than, Nate Hackett and all that stuff. I don't make the corny joke of week 7, didn't know he can receive the ball and all that stuff, but it's valid. Like, he just hasn't been used in that way, and he needs to be. And hopefully Reich again will be doing those type of things for Breece Hall, because as you see, he's a very versatile weapon for the Jets. Now, he's a little bit boomer busty as a player, but that's fine, right? Like he can get you 1 yard 60. That's kind of the player he is. But some of the explosion came back this year. He was near the tops in some of these games in miles per hour. I believe there's some games he's like 22, 23, which is some of the fastest in the NFL. So he might have lost like a few percentage of his explosion, but he's still an explosive player.
In terms of how they use him, Joe, you're a film guy, so let's talk more about that. How can they use Breece Hall in this offense, from what you know about Frank Reich, what you know about Geno Smith, and just the players that the Jets have added? How does all this kind of work for Breece Hall now to be, an impact player going forward? Because I still believe Breece Hall's best football is ahead of him if he's used properly. So your thoughts on how the Jets could potentially now deploy him?
Yeah, I think they'll be. It seems like, at least with Reich's last year in Carolina, he ran more inside zone and duo. But based on the Jets' offensive line, I would like to see them run more outside zone type stuff. Just because you look at the Jets' offensive line, right? Like, if we're just going to label guys, obviously in one or two categories, or one of each of the two categories, deploy. And again, hopefully Reich is looking at the offensive line and saying, okay, this is an offensive line that should be more movement based than power and moving guys. And then really, like with Reich, and you look at all of the weapons on the Jets team right now, I think they're going to be really, and this is like, I feel like it's oversimplifying the offense, but I think they're going to be really dependent on the screen and kind of the extension of the running game with the screen game. Look at like Sadiq. Like, Sadiq can run with the ball in his hands, and I think he has to improve his yak a little bit, but nonetheless can run with the ball in his hands. Cooper can make guys miss. Isaiah Williams right now, who's receiver 4, can make guys miss. Garrett Wilson can make guys miss. Breece Hall, if he's in the receiving game, can make guys miss. So I think they're going to be really reliant on like the screen game, and I'm excited to see Breece Hall in that screen game, because he is a guy who you get him into space and he's explosive. I want him getting outside of the box as much as possible. So I think the screen game will do good for him, and I think Reich will do that. The outside zone scheme, the zone scheme in general, is better for Breece, and I think Reich will lean into that. And then just on top of that, is use him as, again, like, they have so many guys on offense where they're like indicators to what the defense could be doing. Again, with Sadiq and flexing him out, or Breece and flexing him out. Is it a linebacker? Is it a safety? Is it a corner? Whatever it may be. So if Reich is smart, he could really kind of clear up the picture for Geno pre-snap. And I'm hoping he changes his ways a little bit. And again, transparently, I didn't watch him with the Eagles, like study him with the Eagles or anything like that, or even with the Panthers. I know Sabo went back a little bit and watched him with the Panthers, and he wasn't very motion based. So I'm hoping he does that this year, more motion, again, flexing guys out, seeing how the defense reacts instead of being more stagnant. So hopefully Reich does that, and again, take advantage of some of these matchups, because Breece Hall is legitimately a guy. And I do think this is overused in terms of like, oh, a tight end is bigger than a corner, he can beat him every time. Like, if that's the case, then I can show you reps, and we'll watch reps of Pons locking up Sadiq. So it's not just based on, the size and all that stuff. Like, you have to be a good route runner to take advantage of said size and speed. And Breece Hall is actually a solid route runner. So he's a guy who could legitimately take advantage of that, and he could beat a linebacker one-on-one in those situations. So again, I do think that's overused, that like those terminologies, but not wrong terminologies, like that statement of, he's bigger than the safeties, and or he's faster than the tight or linebackers and bigger than the safeties. rookies. I do think that's kind of a little bit of horse crap, but with Breece, it kind of does apply because you have to actually be able to run routes, and he can. So they better use him correctly now that he's making $15 million a year, though. That's for sure.
100%. Joe Blewett is my guest from JetX, jetsxfactor.com. If you have a super chat for us to respond to, we're going to do those coming up. I see a bunch of them already. I promise we're going to get to them shortly. And for those just tuning in, Kenyon Sadiq signed helmet up for grabs today. Got to be one of the first helmets he signed since he's been a Jet, because I've been on every memorabilia site trying to get Jet rookie signed gear, and there's not much out there yet. So I did purchase, though, a Sadiq signed helmet. So one lucky Asmaniac has a chance to win if you gift the membership or send in a super chat. That qualifies. We'll get to those coming up. Breece Hall did send out a tweet after the news broke of his new contract, and I think this will make Jet fans feel good. Cried for the first time since I tore my ACL. This day really hit different for me, man, with some emojis there. So Breece is pumped, and I think Jet fans should be pumped. I know I'm pumped to continue to just proudly display Breece the Beast cereal in my man cave here, Joe.
Yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed. I didn't throw on I didn't have the wherewithal to grab the Breece Hall jersey before I came down here. Yeah, hey man, like we can have some chance. We can have some Hall chance. We can have some Cooper chance maybe for the offense this year. Like they listen, and these guys have to develop, right? Like Sadiq is not a finished product. He obviously has it's a swing on pure upside. And I said that pre-draft. I'm not going to change post-draft. Like it's a home run swing. But they have a ton of weapons, man. They got weapons everywhere. I think really this offense. If we're talking about like holes they can fill, and they had about, tell me if I'm wrong, like $40-ish million, right, left. And most of the draft class has signed. So I don't know if that's changed a little bit, but they have enough money, and I will feel as happy as I possibly can about the offense. Obviously with realistic expectations, like I want Joe Burrow at quarterback, but. Like based on expectations this year, if they were to add a receiver 4 and a center, this offense for the first time in forever, I could say it's actually pretty stacked, which is crazy. Obviously, minus quarterback. Don't get on me about that. But the skill positions, man, like if you were to take a really good quarterback, if you were to take Mahomes and put him in this offense, can you imagine what we'd be doing with all these
Mahomes weapons? With this O-line, Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson,
Absurd.
Omar. They again, they're set up if they get the quarterback right. The coach and quarterback, if that is somehow finally connected at the same time, the Jets can get out of this rut. They're not that far off. They could actually get it right.
3 firsts for Burrow next year. We don't need any more players on the offense. Is that going to happen?
Or here's the dream scenario. You ready for this? You get
Russell Wilson.
Arch Manning, right? And you trade one of the first. You get McVay. Pair them up. Here we go.
Yeah, now it's a fantasy land, man. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna have to go to the doctor. I'm gonna have to go to the doctor if we get Shanahan and McVay and Joe Burrow on the Jets next year. That'll be a problem, man. I don't know if my heart can handle it. We are the most tortured fan base in all of sports, so we deserve it more than anybody. So it's fun. Like this is going to be a fun offense. We really have to see what Geno Smith's about. You can say whatever you want about him last year, and again, I'm not here to glaze Geno Smith or anything like that, but. Terrible situation last year with the Raiders. Not only the players, the offensive line, receivers dropping passes, running the wrong routes. Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll having different philosophies and calling plays that weren't in the game plan. Like all the stuff that was going wrong with Geno Smith. Listen. Justin Fields played like a 3rd string quarterback last year, maybe a 2nd string quarterback. Geno Smith's at least respectable, where if he's like the 20, again, however you quantify this, he's like the 24th, 22nd best quarterback in the league this year. Huge step up. And with these weapons, like this offense has the potential to actually be a decent offense. And we haven't had that in quite literally over a decade, right? Well, I guess with Rodgers at times, right? We were decent, but they just couldn't finish drives and things at the end of games. But it'll be exciting with all these young guys. You're talking about almost every weapon on offense is 24 or younger, right? Like there's really no weapon that is old on this team. And maybe they add a guy. I've been a really big proponent of Tyler Lockett for months now. Saying, hey, add this guy, played with Geno Smith with Seahawks, played with him with the Raiders as a veteran guy who could lead this group. Reliable add him and give me like a Graham Glasgow or Ethan Pochich or whoever's out there as offensive lineman and let's roll.
Let's roll, baby. Let's freaking roll. Comments, questions, super chats. They cut the line. The great Joe Blewett is with us here. We are presented by PrizePicks. Download the PrizePicks app. Use the promo code HMA. Put $5 in, and you can turn that into $50 in lineups easily. So check that out. Again, the link is in the description. Click that link, download the app, code HMA. I bring that up because we're talking about Breece Hall, Joe. Well, on PrizePicks right now, you can take a look at Breece Hall's future numbers. And I think if he's healthy, he's going to rush for over 1,000 yards again. His number's set at 975.5. The rushing touchdowns is 5.5. The receiving yards is 325.5. And receiving touchdowns is 2. Would you go more or less on each of these numbers here?
Yeah, I couldn't do it quick enough. Like, what is 1,000 divided by 17? What is that number? Like it's like 50. I think it's like 58 off the top of my head, like something close to that. I'm not greatest at math. I think it's like right around 58. It's like 58 yards a game. He could definitely.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. There you go. Yeah. So, I think he can easily get that, especially again, and I know they don't have a Hall of Fame quarterback or anything like that. With all the weapons they have, they're going to have to lighten the box a little bit because last year they were stacking the box, right? Like you have Justin Fields, who the only thing he could really do well is run, and he could run the ball well, but my God, ask him for like a read option and ask him to make the right call, whether pull it or hand it off. And he was just horrific at that. So he really wasn't even good at running the ball in that sense. So I would definitely smash the over with the rush yards. The rush touchdowns, I really feel like you should almost hit all of these. Now, the thing is, like, okay, obviously there's a lot of weapons on the Jets offense. There's a lot of mouths to feed. Again, sounds crazy saying that. But I would hit all the overs on this. The only thing I'm a little bit hesitant on is like maybe the rush touchdowns because he's not like the best red zone runner because he likes to operate in space and he's not a guy who's going to put his head down and stuff. And maybe in the red zone, you're looking at guys like Braylon Allen if he's healthy or Isaiah Davis, who's a little bit more power based than Breece Hall is. So that's the only one I'm hesitant on. But yards, rush yards, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns, I would hit the overs on all of those. And can you parlay them? Like what would the parlay be with all three of those?
Yeah, you could put it all together and you just go on PrizePicks and you'll see there's different combinations that you certainly can make. Shout out to PrizePicks for sponsoring our show. Again, code HMA and support our sponsor. Click the link in the description. Takes you right to the PrizePicks app and you can download it and make your own picks. Again, Breece Hall signing a 3-year, $45.75 million contract. The only number that matters, Jet fans, for those of you just tuning in, is $29 million is guaranteed. That is essentially 2 franchise tags. Breece could have played on the tag this year for around $14.3 million. Instead, he gets a new 3-year deal with the first 2 guaranteed.
Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the fuck out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.